One of the things that I thoroughly enjoy about One Rental at a Time, as the audience grows, I get to interview more and more legends. We're going to actually interview the author of Passive Prospecting, but we're going to do it with a twist. We're going to talk about how you, yes, you watching this, can use the theories, the process, the momentum inside passive prospecting to build wealth. We have the one and only and author Levi with us, man. I love that book cover, man. What's going on?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing good, Michael. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Well, let's step back. Let's introduce you first to the audience. What do you do? Where are you at? What is your quote unquote day job?
I'm a YouTuber with a real estate license in Dallas, Texas.
Actually, I love how you said that. Right? You're a YouTuber first, a real estate agent second, and I think that is actually the genius behind what you have done. Right. And why you wrote the book and why more and more small businesses really should go pick it up is, why don't you just talk about
here's the funny thing is I'm a terrible agent because in the 4.5 years now I've been an agent, I've never opened a door for a client and I've never even written a contract. And I'm responsible for over 500 transactions in 4.5 years. And no marketing budget either. That was with zero ad spend. So actually, I'm a terrible real estate agent, but I'm pretty good at marketing.
Yeah, I think, and again, I think that's, I've heard many people say this. I think actually Grant Cardone said this. Marketing is more important than sales, right? You've got to get your name out. You've got to get a quote unquote, top of funnel name recognition. And that is your genius, right? Just, and frankly, I think you're an amazing agent because what you're able to do is build pipeline and then turn over the busy work, right? Contracts, opening doors, all of that to someone else and likely split the commission in some form. So I think it's the best way to do it, right? Less work, less headache, less dealing with people, and, frankly, more money because you can stay in your circle of genius.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many, over 500 homes in 4.5 years, if I did that on my own, what would that number really be?
A lot less.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, let's talk about it. So when did you realize that YouTube was the secret to all of this?
Probably whenever I closed the first deal. I mean, maybe, it was unknown starting out. And I had a business. I was in financial services. I worked with teachers on their retirement planning and I met them at schools. And so I built that business up for 5 years. I had the time of my life because I literally worked 8 months of the year. I had a teacher schedule, but I had 5 times the teacher's income. So I was traveling the world, enjoying life, really Monday through Friday, no evenings, no weekends, and then summer's off and everything. And then, 2020 happens and school shut down and travel shuts down. So, I was like, oh man, I was just really enjoying this. And I was also 41 years old at that time. So I was going, man, like, how do I start over without starting over? Because, talk about a midlife crisis. I was like, wait a second. Not just the world shut down, but it's like my business, everything. It was just like, okay, well, so, and I've got a lot of great friends in real estate as real estate agents. I've done some investing more part-time. I had 7 rentals at one time. We could talk about that mistake. And then I did a fix and flip, maybe once a year or so, just as a little hobby project. But never earned a full-time income from it. So I've always loved real estate, but part-time. And so, and my real estate agent's friends said, you'd be a great agent. You should get into real estate. And I was like, but I don't want to be a real estate agent. I don't want to walk around with a bunch of cards in my pocket, pretending to like people. And then I give them my card and say, hey, anytime you're in the market. And not that all agents do that, of course, but that was just kind of my perception, the ulterior motive type of person. And so, over 2020, I invested a lot of money into other things, basically to not become a real estate agent. And all of that failed and didn't work out. And so then I was like, okay, well, let me look into this agent thing. But then I was dreading starting over especially as an agent, I was thinking about, well, first of all, there's no events going on, no community events. You're not shaking hands. You're not kissing babies. You're not knocking doors. So what does that leave me? Cold calling, to start building a business. And again, I've been in sales for over 20 years at that point.
Right.
Love sales, but I was really tired of prospecting, because I was always a great salesperson because I was always willing to out prospect, everybody else. I was just willing. I've done the cold calls, the door knocks, the campaigns, the emails, the shake hands, the kiss babies. I've done all of that over 20 years, but I was really just burnt out on starting over every day and starting over every month on the first of the month. Like your previous month's sales didn't matter. So been there. And maybe you're like me, but if you're at that 40-year-old age range and above, you also have this love-hate relationship with social media because I didn't grow up with it in high school. It didn't exist in high school. Not even cell phones were barely coming around. I graduated high school in 98. So even in college, it wasn't a thing. And thank God.
Amen.
And so I was always anti-social media. I always thought like I'm a people person. I'm a shake hands, kiss babies, belly to belly, face to face. But I also realized whenever I lost everything in 2020, I also realized, well, that's what's gotten me in trouble. I never scaled myself. I never and every time some outside force kind of like removed me from the picture, my business would stop. And so I just said, I can't do that anymore. And I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. And I don't want anything in the future, pandemic or, tariffs or, this administration, that administration, sickness as well. You never know. Family. I don't want any of that if I get removed from the picture, I need that business to keep working. And so that was the mindset. That's what made me shift, was saying, okay, if I'm going to move into real estate, I need to go in as a business owner and not as a real estate agent. I need to think about, how do I scale myself as quickly as possible? How do I put systems and processes? And then also, I'm sitting there watching all the 20 and 30-year-olds crush social media, making a ton of money, so it's like, okay, I've got to get on that train. But I didn't want to make the mistake. I feel like it's a mistake of trying to be on every platform at one time. I just felt like it was too overwhelming to think about that. So I was like, look, I want to pick one platform. I'm just going to look at the platforms. I want to pick one platform, and then I'm going to go 150% on that one platform. And if I can generate business, then I'll consider branching off to the other platforms down the road. But if I didn't want to put 20% effort across 5 different platforms. So then it was like, okay, which platform, and I looked at them all, and everybody in 2020 was definitely talking about TikTok. Instagram was really making its run as well, but I didn't feel like they fit my personality. I don't know. I didn't want to do pointy videos and, that's what I saw really kind of. I was kind of like, and then, I read this book, YouTube Secrets, and Binge, the co-author, actually, like one paragraph on page 189 or something, said he was a real estate agent 10 years earlier, actually had a YouTube channel in 2009 as a real estate agent. And he went from 10 deals a year to 100 deals a year.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. I was like, oh, well, that sounds like I would like to do 100 deals a year. And then I started, and then, I figured out that, YouTube's more of a search engine than it is a social media platform. So that also made me a lot more comfortable, because what I realized was, I think that's what I didn't like about the other platforms, is I saw really experienced people making good content, how they've been a great real estate agent for the last 5 or 10 years. And I didn't want to try to fake being this top producer, or, hey, here's 5 tips to sell your home, whenever I hadn't even helped somebody sell a home yet.
Right.
So, but YouTube, I'm like, wait a second. I've lived in Dallas for over 20 years. And I know Dallas. I know the neighborhoods. I know what it's like to be a resident here. I know what it's like to be a homeowner. I've lived in that neighborhood, and I've got friends over here and family over there. And I've run the streets, and I've, went to the events and the concerts and, the theaters and everything. I was like, I know how to be a good resident, a good homeowner. So that's what I tried to be. I said, okay, well, if it's a search engine, then people are probably searching out neighborhoods and suburbs and things like that, wanting to know more information. And so that's what I thought. Let me be a tour guide, really, of Dallas versus a real estate agent. And so that's where the content kind of came in, to start making videos about what I knew, which I knew how to be a good resident of Dallas. And also timing was critical, because clearly a lot of people are jumping ship from California, New York, Illinois in 2021, especially with all the restrictions and everything. So that definitely helped momentum. But since then, we've maintained, grown the channel. Now it's we're 45,000 subscribers for
Nice.
for a local real estate channel, and we've done over over 300 million in sales, 500 homes in real estate transactions from that channel, and that's well over 7 million in real estate commissions. So
Damn.
With no ad spend, no marketing budget, no ad spend, just making free videos for YouTube.
So again, we're talking about basically a 5-year run where you got serious on this, and your gross commissions were $7 million. So folks, you can do the math on that. That would be more than $1 million a year. I'm just saying, YouTube is worth it. So there's a couple of things I want to go back and touch on, and this is really for any business owner, right? Passive prospecting, your book, your experience obviously rotates towards real estate, but there's everything we've just talked about, any small business owner could do. So I think there's a couple of things I would recommend people take from this first part of the conversation. One, lots of platforms out there. Pick one. I would argue YouTube is the one to pick. It's a search engine. It builds relationships. There's a lot of studies out there that talk about, people have to build trust. You can't build trust in a 60-second, pointy screen dancing non-monkey stuff, right? So go to where the platform is deepest and richest. Second, over rotate to what I would call a buy box, your area. You're not trying to be the real estate guy for the country. You're trying to be the real estate guy for Dallas. You're not chasing virality of 1 million. You're just trying to find 1,000 people that want to live in Dallas, right? You're not confused about the social media metrics that matter. You're looking for richness and depth and quality, right? You want people looking to move in Dallas to come to your channel, look at it, and get questions, right? Top of funnel, which is very, very cool. And then again, you've stayed in your circle of genius. You are the face, but you don't do the day-to-day nonsense like we talked about earlier. You've outsourced or partnered or whatever you want to call it for the stuff that you don't want to do. So you stay laser focused on your stuff, which means, I'm going to guess, your time commitment for creating the content is probably a lot less than most people would imagine. Like if you were to talk about how much time you spend on creating content for YouTube in a week or a month, I don't know how you divide it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, in a week, a few hours. So
let's just say it's 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's times 50 weeks. That's 250 hours. 250 hours divided by $1.2 million. I don't know, but that's a lot of money. So very, very cool. What else has been, so you jump into, when was your first YouTube video? You remember?
December 5th, 2020.
I love the fact that you know that. What has changed, or how have you evolved from that first video to maybe the last one that came out? What have been some of the big steps, the big pivots that you've made in creating content?
Well, I call it getting your video legs underneath you, So just like when you go out on the boat with the captain never gets seasick, but
right.
You go out on the boat and you're probably going to throw up the first few times you're out there. But if you love fishing, you'll probably stick with it and you'll get over that. And then you laugh at everyone else that throws up when they get on the boat.
Right.
So all in good fun. Not that you're laughing at them to
no, we're laughing. We're laughing at them.
Yeah, we're definitely laughing at it's I don't even want to say it's a habit. It's almost like second nature. It just becomes a part of you. Now, where most people dread making a video, I don't feel right if I didn't make a video this week, and so even if I'm going to go on vacation, which by the way, last year I spent at least 3 months out of my market on work / recreational. I mean, we went to Brazil for 3 weeks. We went to Spain for 2 weeks. We went to Cabo for a week. We went to France. We went to Puerto Rico for a week. So and I don't make videos when I'm there. I double up the week before. I just make an extra video or two. And so even when I'm on vacation, I'm kind of like, oh, should I make a video about the resort or and then I'm like, nah, I'm good. So yeah, I mean, I think it just becomes a part of you. And so, that comfortability, especially on camera, like if I mess up, I'll start back over at that sentence. I think, some people, when they start out and they mess up, they get frustrated. They get, they're like, oh my God, this is so hard. Or they get 5 minutes into a video, mess up, and then they think they've got to start all the way back over at the 5-minute mark. They don't understand editing and that's, so the process, everything's just so much easier. But this is what I try to help people understand all the time isn't that the case with anything that you do? Aren't you crappy at every single thing you start out and you screw it up and then you stick with it. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're like, oh wow, I'm doing this, or man, that was easy. Or, oh wow, I'm looking forward to doing this. So it's no matter what you do. And then I always try to help people understand too, that think about something that you overcame, something that was difficult to start, something that was hard, something that challenged you, or something that you actually thought about quitting as well, but you stuck with it. And then you now it is part of your life or part of your world or part of your business or part of your family. And you always think, I'm so glad I didn't quit. That's what you have to do with video. But I think so many people just disregard it as not important or, not an impact. Or, I mean, this is why this is a turtle, by the way. This is why we have a turtle as a logo or as our mascot for passive prospecting, because this is the long game. The tortoise beats the hare. And, the Navy SEALs say slow is smooth, but smooth is fast. And, if you see Navy SEALs, if you ever watch a movie, at least, they're not sitting there running around, they're usually just walking at a nice little pace. And then you're like, run, hurry up. And they're just, going through there, but they do it so eloquently. And then they get in, they get out. You watch something like Zero Dark 30. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but when they raid, the compound, I mean, they wreck a helicopter and they just get out and they're like, and they're still walking up to the place like, okay, we're going to stay on task. We're going to follow the plan. We're still going to walk. They're still being quiet, even though they literally just crashed a helicopter outside. It's like, okay, all right. So, but that took training, that took repetition, that took sticking with it. And the people that aren't there are all the people that quit in a Navy SEAL training class. Right. So, and this is the thing is like, I don't have a quit mechanism in me. Now there's a difference between strategically walking away from something versus quitting. So, for me, I didn't have any other options. My business was gone. I didn't know, in 2020, like I didn't know, are schools going to open back up, or is this the new way of life? Is travel going to come back? So I didn't know those things. So I just thought, I'm going on offense. I'm starting something else that has been around since the test of time, and so, but also I had some friends, so I thought maybe they can show me the way. So ultimately it's not, there's, you set a plan. And that's the other thing too, because I had time on my side at that moment, I took almost 2 months to study the platform. So it wasn't like I just started making videos. I think that's very admirable. A mutual friend of ours, Sean Cannell, says you got to press record. And I do believe that, and that is admirable. But now these platforms are so powerful. You need a plan in place. And I'm not talking about analysis paralysis. I'm talking about get a plan in place and then execute on that plan. So I took about 2 months. And just really, I watched 1,000 YouTube videos. I read 8 different YouTube marketing books. I read blogs. I went on the web. I just deep dove into it. I call it hyper learning. And I think you can hyper learn any subject in this day and age with the amount of information in 60 days. If you don't binge watch Netflix on Saturday, what if you binge watched YouTube on and watch one rental at a time, you know, for if I watched your channel for 60 days, I guarantee you I'd be buying rental properties. I mean, I do that already, but I'm saying if I knew nothing about rental property,
Right.
I would binge watch your channel and take notes as I did that. Like not just listen to it when I'm in the gym, but actually sit down and I've got a notepad. You know, I do it to this day. I mean, look how big my notepad is to the side. I mean, this thing is a book, right? And
I have it. I have the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So
all these notes. Yep.
So when you watch YouTube, watch it with intention, you know, and look, sometimes you're brain dead. And yes, I get it. But I think that's what Instagram and TikTok are for. You know?
Yeah. Go there when you're brain dead.
Yeah. Exactly. But go to YouTube and learn. And if I wanted to do rentals full time or make that move on getting my first one I would binge watch your channel and I would have a plan in place. I think you've probably laid that out. And so,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so for me, there wasn't really that in real estate, but there was the Think Medias and there was the Nick Nimmons and the D Nimmons and all the people that teach YouTube. And so I just watched a lot of YouTube. I understood the platform. And then I was like, okay, now how do I make real estate content to fit into the platform and what is the platform like? And so that's what allowed me to do that. And I just focused on that instead of watching Netflix, instead of, you know, goofing off on a Saturday. I mean, there's a time and place, I think, for really digging in and sacrificing, you know, personal time. And if you're married or family, you've got to have that conversation with the spouse and say, hey, look, I've got to do something different and I need some time. I'll still be there for dinner, you know, but after dinner, I'm probably going to need, you know, instead of us sitting on the couch watching Netflix, you know, I'm going to need the next 30 days to really study. I think any loving spouse would say, okay, I'm with you on that. And I realize, this is temporary. So it just depends on how serious you are. And I just felt like I had lost everything in 2020, you know, again at 41. And I was just like, okay, I'm not going to, I've got to foolproof this for the future. And so that was really the motivation behind that. And so once the deal started coming in, then I was like, this is great. You know, and then I met my business partner, Travis Plum, who handled the real estate side. So that this guy doesn't like to make videos, you know, but he loves negotiating contracts. He loves opening doors. He loves writing, you know, he loves doing all the other stuff. So I was like, cool. And that's how we were able to just really, and that's how I ended up not ever writing. It was really perfect timing to meet him. So I don't want to set that expectation unless you've got somebody. Now, if you've got a spouse or a business partner you want to do this with, then clearly you can define roles and go from there. But otherwise, that was just perfect timing for me that we met and linked up at that time. And then once the deal started coming in, I was just like, man, this is a pretty sweet gig. You know, why would I stop? You know, so
no, again, I love what you're doing here. Cause again, there's simple genius in what you're doing. You're not trying to be the real estate agent for the country. You're trying to own a defined space, right? At, you know, zip codes, city, whatever it is, which is powerful, right? Cause again, you could be known for the guy in Dallas. You could also, your license is for Texas. So you could theoretically be, you know, the Texas guy. But again, why I think the book is valuable, why your story is valuable is anybody out there, you know, you have a small business, you're an investor. I have a friend of mine who lives in Seattle, and Seattle's an expensive market, a market he doesn't want to be in. And he's chosen to plant his flag in a city called Gary, Indiana. He doesn't live there, but he invests there. So what he's done over the last couple of years is he's tried to become the king of Gary, Indiana. He creates videos about Gary, Indiana. And lo and behold, he's been doing this for a couple of years. And like you, he's getting deal flow from it. He's getting off-market opportunity. He's giving the ability to raise private capital. His business is blowing up because he chose to be the king of Gary, Indiana. Now, for scale, right, I think his name's Millennial Mike. I'm not trying to hide it. Everybody on my channel knows it. He's got like 11,000 subs. But he's made millions of dollars because he's the king of Gary, Indiana. Right? Don't get it twisted. This is not about being Graham Stephan with 4 million or Iced Coffee Hour with 1 million.
And he lives in Seattle still?
Correct. He lives in Seattle still.
So he's just doing an office style video, but he's just presenting the information on.
Yep.
So just like I could do an office video right now on Seattle and nobody would know the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, he's got people on the ground. So if he wanted to get B-roll, he could, and all of those things. So again, I think there's so much power in treating YouTube like a business. You actually treat YouTube as your number one marketing person. YouTube, and it's great because the videos live forever. You're probably still getting monster pipeline from videos you did years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
just talk about why YouTube is a great platform because of that.
Well, I have a quote, which is, if you treat YouTube like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. And if you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business.
I love that. That is beautiful.
Yeah. So very simple. Yeah. I mean, YouTube, it doesn't push your videos to anyone. It pulls the right videos for the right viewer on that platform at that time. And YouTube doesn't really discriminate between years of when that video was published. And you could have a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old video that still gets recommended to people because YouTube determines that that's the right video for that. Their whole goal is to have people watch videos, be satisfied, watch more videos, stay on the platform, period. Facebook, Instagram, these other platforms are pay to play if you want longevity on videos. I mean, I could run an ad behind a video on those platforms and have it run forever, but it costs me money. What's the shelf life of your Instagram videos? 24 hours, 48 hours. I mean,
maybe
if you hit virality, maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days, and then that's it. Right. And I don't think I've ever been fed an old video from anybody on those platforms. And also, how hard is it if I want to go back to last year on your Instagram, how hard is, I mean, you got to sit there and like do some major thumb scrolling. And then I don't even know, I'd like have to click on individual videos and like look at the date, or, it's just not that ideal. And then even like YouTube has its own search within the channel. I don't know.
For sure.
There's a search bar in every single channel. So if they want to learn about Frisco, Texas, they could just type in Frisco and it'll pull up all of my Frisco videos. And so, yeah, we have a video. One of our highest performing is 3.5 years old and YouTube's still promoting it. So, that is that, and for free. Actually, over the last 4 years of the channel, YouTube has given us over 60 million impressions. And for those that don't know, an impression means that YouTube has left your thumbnail on somebody's screen longer than 1 second. So your eyes can process an image in 0.7 of a second. And so YouTube says, well, if your thumbnail sits on a screen for 1 second, we've given that person an opportunity to click on that video. And think about that. They've put us in front of 60 million eyeballs over the last 4 years. And
it's actually better than that, because again, when people hear 60 million, they're thinking worldwide. That's not the case. It's 60 million likely highly qualified people looking for Dallas, Texas. Think about that, right? This is not, because again, that's the genius of what you're doing, is you are creating content with a very specific focus. So when you get an impression, it is very likely going to be a qualified impression. Right. And if you don't understand marketing, a 60 million qualified impressions is probably like 500 million top of funnel impressions, maybe 1 trillion. That it's just magic what you've unlocked.
Well, or look at 500 transactions from that. So, okay, I'll take that.
Clearly working.
Am I trying, would I take 60 million transactions? Sure. But, hey, that's not going to happen. I mean, that's the thing is even now people are like, well, YouTube is saturated. I'm going, you look at how many homes we sold last year and then compare it to the homes sold in Dallas. Do you think, I mean, I'm not capturing every home sold in Dallas.
No.
I mean, yeah. So, it's crazy. I mean, YouTube, and plus they share revenue. I mean, they're the most content creator friendly platform out there, in my opinion.
I don't know what you make on YouTube. I'm sure it's pennies, but in fairness, they are paying you to market.
Yeah. Yeah, for my view count, I mean, I average about 1,000 a month, and sometimes that's 1,200, sometimes it's 800, but hey, that pays a couple of bills. I'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Yeah, and
Uh,
again, that's like the greatest unlock.
Yeah.
Like you're running a plumbing company, you're an investor like my boy Mike. You're being paid to get rich. You're being paid to generate pipeline. It's wild to think about.
Well, but actually that tells me the potential that I even have because, I said 45,000 subscribers. You mentioned plumbing just now. There is a plumber in Dallas with 600,000 subscribers, and his videos get like 50,000 views every video. It's crazy. And I've had a conversation with him. Of course, he's here in Dallas. He had a $1 million brand deal from Home Depot, right? So you never know what else can come off of that, but he teaches people how to fix leaky faucets and toilets and all of that stuff, and why not? Is that losing him business? Well, no, because he's making AdSense, he's getting brand deals. But when my pipe busted in my backyard, I walked in my backyard one day and I'm like, oh, I have a swimming pool. Wait a second.
Yeah, let me call somebody.
Yeah. So who do I call? I called the YouTube plumber. And the funniest, his van pulls up and his van looked like a giant thumbnail on YouTube.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. And
lean in.
Exact same profile. He's holding this big wrench, and it looked like a YouTube thumbnail. And then that repair in my backyard was $7,000. So he's still making the money, right? And from the business, maybe he's not making the $100 service call because you got a leaky faucet, but because he's providing all that value. And then, clearly has contact information. Well, guess what? Hey, man, Roger, you helped me fix my toilet and my faucet and everything else. And now I've got a busted pipe. I'm going to call you for that because that's out of my range. So it all comes back around. Yeah.
There you go. Well, let's talk about the book, Passive Prospecting. Give us a little taste of what we're going to get inside that. Again, if you're a small business investor, real estate agent, really anybody who wants to build qualified pipeline, get paid to do it, should consider the book. Tell us what's inside it.
Yeah. So the first 9 chapters, and again, I wrote this to be so any business owner could pick it up and understand the foundations and principles of YouTube and then how to implement it. So the first 9 chapters are actually the principles. I call them the passive prospecting principles. And that is just to help you understand what differentiates YouTube from, I think, any other marketing platform out there. I think it's the best social platform. And again, we could argue it's not even a social, it's really more of a search platform. But in marketing in general, I mean, again, being in sales for over 20 years, I had to chase my people down all the time. And even no matter what I sold, it didn't matter. Nobody comes to me like they do from YouTube. Like people come to you from YouTube and they're like, I love you. I love your videos. Can you just take all my money? And
trust is built.
And that's the first interaction. I'm just like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Give me your money, or they're like, yeah, can you help me out? But everywhere else, I was always chasing everyone down. And then it was, how do I build rapport, establish credibility, develop a relationship? And then usually I was in a business that was like same day close, right? So you meet somebody for the first time and then you're trying to close them on something shortly after that. So that's why sales training exists. Because you have to understand the tips and the tricks and all the different closing methods and how to have the conversation and how to build rapport. And, all of that does matter in a sales environment. But with YouTube, we create value and people, just consume. They get to consume. And that's what builds the relationship. That's why people love TV shows. And even though they may never meet Jennifer Aniston or Jerry Seinfeld, they're just like, man, I love Jerry. He's the coolest guy, because they sit there on their couch week after week watching that. And actually, here's the funny stat is over the life of the channel, I've always touted that 35% of our traffic on YouTube came from TVs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But Michael, in the last year, it's gone to 62% of our viewership is from TV, which means people are sitting on their couch or laying in bed watching our Dallas, Texas real estate videos. I mean, what better way could you build a relationships with somebody when they're sitting on their couch and they're probably sitting there with their spouse, because buying a home is typically typically takes 2. So I explain a lot of that in the first 9 chapters. And
Nice.
really one of the first chapter, I believe, is interruption versus intention-based marketing. And everything else is interruption marketing. Everything, TV, commercials, billboards, magazine ads, cold calling, door knocking, shaking hands, meeting somebody at Starbucks. Can you do business that way? Yes. But you are interrupting people in the middle of their day. And that's why, if you watch a football, I don't watch TV, but I do watch the Cowboys lose every other Sunday. And during the Cowboys game, I will see the same or the variation of a State Farm commercial every commercial break. And why does State Farm do that? Because that is interruption marketing. I didn't watch the game to learn about State Farm, but they're going to hit me on every single commercial break so that I get that jingle stuck in my head, right? Like a good neighbor. And almost everybody could finish that sentence. And also they hope that one day when I'm in the market for home or auto insurance, I should call State Farm because Holmes and Kelsey are, Mahomes and Kelsey are, their spokespeople, or I like Jake from State Farm. So they create that narrative in your head so that one day maybe you'll become their client. And intention-based marketing is YouTube, right? Because now people are going to the platform intentionally looking for information. They're dialed in, their mind is completely open, and they're like, oh, here's somebody who's giving me exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm getting in front of people that are actually have intentionality because they have to move for some reason. And those events come up in our life: death, divorce, marriage, kids leave the house, you have a new kid, you have a second kid, you get relocated, you get a new job, you start a new business. All of that makes people go, oh, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. If I meet you at Starbucks, you could have bought a house yesterday, and I have no idea, am I going to, build a relationship with you now for the next 5 to 7 to 9 years, which now the average used to be people move every 7 years. Now it's 9 years. And so, yeah, I meet you and I can build a relationship with you. And what does that mean? I'm again, that ulterior motive. Oh, let me get you in my database so I can market to you. And hopefully in 9 years, you'll buy or sell a home from me. So I talk about things to shift people's mindset on why YouTube is so powerful on the first half of the book. The last 5 chapters are how to do it. Like I literally, chapter 1 is it's the passive prospecting process. So we go from channel build out to content creation, to content curation, and then conversion. So, I do the best I can to describe in a book, like, okay, you got to start your banner. Here's how you build your banner. And then I've got pictures in there of like the banner, and I walk you through, okay, this is where you should position things on your banner. So you can definitely do damage and start your own channel and understand everything just from the book, but of course, further education from there, I think would help as well.
Yeah, folks, get it. Go get it today. Passive prospecting. I will be getting it myself. Any closing thoughts, Levi?
Yeah, get the book. But I just think YouTube is the most powerful platform out there, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Actually, recent studies came out. The YouTube CEO just said that YouTube has now, the last 2 years, has surpassed Netflix on TV for viewership. So first of all, I think we all think Netflix is the king, but YouTube beat it out. Second of all, TV is now the primary viewing device for YouTube over mobile phones.
Wow.
So again, you got to think about it. Think about your client avatar, your ideal client, the person you're trying to reach, sitting on their couch, watching 15, 20, 30-minute video of yours. I mean, how much more powerful could you get on marketing than that? So you have to take YouTube seriously. And I think you need to start now. It's not too late. It's not too saturated, and study the platform. Don't get, bogged down in everything, but just build out a little bit of a plan. This book is a great place to start to really give you that shortcut. And then from there, you're just going to learn as you go. And I'm still learning things. And whatever I tell you works on YouTube, I can also show you the exact opposite that proves me wrong. So, just keep doing, keep experimenting, keep publishing, and you'll do well.
And last question, I haven't heard the name yet. What is your channel name, YouTube channel?
Oh yeah, well, so the real estate channel is Living in Dallas, Texas, and so that's our real estate channel where we attract that business, and then of course we have a passive prospecting YouTube channel as well, just passive prospecting.
Very cool, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.